Evening, folks. How are we getting on? Good. Hope you're going well. Tonight, this is what we're reviewing tonight. Peaky Blinders. For anyone who doesn't know, right? There's a bit of a story to this bottle, by the way, but not this particular bottle. Bottles in general. Peaky Blinders is a TV show in the BBC, which is kind of like a sort of Brummy version of Sopranos, but set in Birmingham in the 19th century, the sort of latter part of the 19th century. And the idea was that they were a gang of like robbers and stuff, right? They were a real gang, that's real people. And what they did was they had caps, and they used to put razor blades on the sort of the peak of their caps. And then if you were bad to them or you weren't doing what you were told, they'd take off your cap, whack you across the eyes and blind you. So they were called the Peaky Blinders. They all wore these wee peaky caps. Right? So there's other whiskey reviewers where peaks, wear hats with peaks on them. Said I might have to watch myself now. You never know. But anyway, no. So the Peaky Blinders. So the BBC made a TV show about this gang from the Midlands in England, and for the BBC, massively successful. Cillian Murphy plays the real sort of good-looking leader of the thing, who's all sort of dark and mysterious, and all. The BBC have been making shows like this for a while, where really good-looking leading men. And some of them, they're out cutting grass with a scythe and stuff with no shirt on, and they tend to go very well with a certain demographic. But yeah, so Peaky Blinders has been a huge success. Step forth Halewood Spirits, who own Sadlers, who are people that make this. Or, well, they don't actually make it, they just sell it. They are, as it says on the back, in England's famous Black Country, the Sadler family have been purveyors of the finest beers and spirits since 1861. But it's Irish whiskey, and it says, distilled in County Cork, Ireland. So I'm going to say it's the West Cork distillery. I think it is. Can't really see who else it would be, to be honest. But, yeah. So, Sadler's brought this out, and the BBC sued for a copyright. Now, trademarks and copyright law is a bit iffy in places, okay? You have to be very careful about it. Because if you register a name as a product and not own that trademark, by trademark law, if someone registered a product in the same name, but it's a totally different area of sale, you might not own the trademark to this. In different countries, it's different sort of levels of stuff. So what these guys did, and I kind of take my hat off to them, because the Peaky Blinders were an actual gang, a real life thing. The BBC trademarked the Peaky Blinders, but they did it in the sphere of entertainment and stuff. They didn't do it in whiskey. So these guys bought the whiskey, brought it over. Now they have a whole brand of stuff. They have Peaky Blinders rum, and the Peaky Blinders this, and Peaky Blinders that. Bit of an oversight there by the old anti-beeb, BBC. So it's a bit of a clever move by these guys. Now, first off, I have to find something here. I have to find a bit of paper. Yeah. They went a bit OTT with the colouring for a start. This is a blend of Irish whiskey. No age statement. No, nor does it have the statement of the colour chart that they used the caramel colouring in. Yeah, they went a bit overboard with that. So we'll pour this in. Now, Irish whiskey is becoming really expensive, by the way, because a lot of the new make spirit, a lot of the spirit, they call the LPA, litres pure alcohol, are being bought up, and they're being bought up and used for this kind of thing. And lots of new Irish whiskies are popping up in the States under different brand names, and that's where they're going, which will be the backbone of the market. I mean, I've mentioned that lots and lots, but it just means that in the future there's not going to be the glut of whiskey that people seem to think there's going to be in 10 years' time isn't going to be there, because it's being sold at a very young age. I mean, for example, you have Proper 12, which is, I personally think it barely makes it to its third birthday before it's put out the door. I won't have the candle blew out in the third thing, because it's so young. It's not very good whiskey, to be honest. And if that's your favourite tipple, good on you. More power to you. But there's a lot better out there for a lot less money as well. So yeah. So Peaky Blinders, quite big in the States. Lots of people have taken to it. It's a bit like most of these shows. I guess a bit silly in places, but it's entertaining. And as long as you take it as that, it is what it is. So yeah. There's no tasting notes for this or anything. I haven't done any taste notes. I bought this about a year ago, probably. So it's sat. Yeah, I think it's probably about a year ago. It's like £24 a bottle or something like that. Do you know something on the nose? It's actually slightly different than what you would expect. It's finished in bourbon casks, triple distilled. It's got a lot richer a nose than you would think. It's quite woody. There's a wee touch of vanilla there, as there's always going to be. But it's a bit deeper than that. It's actually got, there's an umami note to it, and I know I talk about this quite a lot. It's that kind of meaty note that you get from stuff where it's not sweet. You can get sweet meat, you know, when meat gets charcoaled and stuff. It has that kind of sweetness. It's that Maillard reaction that we've talked about in various times on the show, my and Justin's show on the Saturday night. We've talked about that sort of Maillard reaction before, and so you can get sort of sweetness without it being sugary or saccharine or overly sweet. It's a level of sweetness that you get from meat. Umami is a slightly different thing. It's a savoury note, and it's that mix where you get sweetness from those sort of mix of umami and sweetness. So it's a different level of sweetness, and it's coming from a kind of different place. It's coming from a savoury to the sweet, and it's caused really by that kind of toasting and stuff and cooking. You know, this actually has almost a slightly smoky thing to it. I don't think it's peated. I don't think there's any peat in it. So yeah, it's actually got quite a pleasant nose on it. It's very disjointed. It's got elements to it that I really like, and I sort of want to hold on to them because it has that umami note, that sort of savoury note to it, and then it sort of comes in from different angles with this weird kind of sweetness that appears. It's got a nice mouthfeel, actually, a lot better than you would think. And the umami notes in it are actually quite nice. It's a pleasant change from being overly sweet. I mean, what they could have done really was bourbon cask, sweet, and appeal to a wider audience. What they've done with this actually is it's triple distilled, but it kind of doesn't feel triple distilled, and maybe I'm not exactly sure why that would be, because this is cheap. It's blended. There's not a huge malt content in this. I wouldn't think. You know, you're not talking this is going to be like 50% malt. It's just because it's not. So what they're bringing into it is actually better than you would think. There's a bit of body to it, and for it being triple distilled, it's not sweet and light bodied. It's quite meaty body to it. There's toast there, plenty of wood, touch of sweetness, umami note, sort of meaty note. On the finish, you're getting the dark chocolate notes. It's coming through as toffee, coming through syrupy, bordering on a little touch of fresh spice to it as well. Sort of heading towards clove, that kind of area. All in all, it's not bad. It's not going to win any major prizes, I don't think, because it is sort of disjointed, but it's not bad at all. Lots of people would like this, and at the entry level, you have to remember you're getting what you're paying for. You're not getting massive flavour, but it's more flavour than you would think. In many ways, different enough to make it worthwhile having a bash. There's lots of these sort of celebrity endorsed and you know, association balls, so they're associated with something famous or a famous person or whatever. And it's not fabulous, but it might be a bit gimmicky. So there's lots of other whiskies that do gimmicky stuff. At least this is honest. It's right there in the label. It's not trying to hide itself, and it's different enough to be worth a pop. Yeah. Don't mess with the Peaky Blinders. That's the way they talk. And oh, messy, oh, do this, oh. And some of them are from Birmingham, but they talk with a sort of English accent or a London-centric accent. It's very funny. Cillian Murphy, by the way, is from Ireland. I think he's from down around Cork direction, is he? Or Dublin. Can't remember, but he's from Ireland anyway. Yeah, so give it a mark. Sort of 6.5, 7 out of 10. Entry level, as I say, widely available. Get it, no problem. Give it a whirl, yeah. I know there's lots of people going about integrity bottlings. Has to be integrity. Has to be integrity to it. This is alright. It doesn't have to be integrity. You know, people like what they want. This is it's alright. Don't think you're going to be brand loyal for very, very long to it. Okay? Probably doesn't have as much legs as the Peaky Blinders legend has. But it's worth a pop, yeah. Again, keep saying, you buy one of these bottles and you don't particularly like it, then you might be a little disappointed. But you can always use it in a little mixer and, you know, put a bit of ginger in it, invite a friend round and ply him it while you drink the good stuff. I used to do that with my friend the Exorcist, you know, the old neighbour. He makes all my spirits disappear. Yeah, that's what I used to do. There you go. Yeah, I used to let him have some of the guff that I bought at times, and he put ginger ale in it, so it didn't really matter what it was. He was happy enough. So yeah. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Who was it used to say that? Be safe out there. Yeah. Anyway, you take care of yourself, and everybody else should be all right as long as you keep a wee eye out for them. So take care. All the best, and talk to you again soon.